Memastikan integriti dalam rangkaian halal bukanlah suatu perkara yang mudah. Namun begitu, cabaran yang ada malahan memberi banyak manfaat kepada semua. Kesucian setiap bahan mentah menjadi pilihan seluruh masyarakat. Di manapun anda berada, Halal Integrated Platform sentiasa bersama anda.
Barang dah nak habis ni. Ain,
Ya, Bu.
boleh tolong ibu order bahan-bahan dahulu tak?
Tapi Ain dah nak pergi interview dah ni. Tak apa. Ain bukakan portal HIP untuk ibu. Nanti ibu boleh pilih je dalam ni. Nanti ibu jangan lupa tengok laptop ya.
Yelah. Ibu selalu doakan kamu berjaya.
Terima kasih, Bu. Ain pergi dulu.
Segala akses untuk hab halal hanya di hujung jari anda. Memastikan kelestarian rangkaian hab halal untuk generasi akan datang.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Barang Cik.
Cepat je sampai.
Segalanya pantas tanpa batasan. Sebesar impian, segalanya bermula dengan langkah yang pertama. Terukai integrasi tanpa sempadan dan berpeluang temui rakan niaga baru. Budayakan inovasi dan jadikan idea perniagaan anda satu realiti. Lakar kejayaan, catat peningkatan perniagaan melalui HIP. Daftar dan sertai segera untuk berinteraksi dan mendapat akses kepada ribuan pangkalan data. Hanya yang terbaik dari Halal Integrated Platform.
Hello, welcome and salam sejahtera to everyone who is tuning in. Once again, thank you for joining us in today's talk by Halal Integrated Platform or HIP. HIP is a halal industry platform by HDC, by the Halal Development Corporation, with the aim to bring together halal industry players from SMEs, corporations, service providers, professionals, and consumers in one integrated digital platform to promote growth in the halal industry. So more information can be found on hip.hdcglobal.com. You can sign up as a member through the portal, and membership is currently free. And you will have access to, among others, financial aids, job opportunities, talent matching services, business matching services, all of which are provided by HIP strategic partners, including those offered by our guest today, microLeap. So the talk today is the 7th talk in the series, and with us today is Mr. Matthew Fernandez, partner and COO of microLeap, who will be talking about small steps for our micro, small, and medium enterprise or MSMEs via impact investments with microLeap. So welcome, Mr. Matthew.
Hi,
How are
morning,
you
everyone.
today?
Good. Good start to the morning. And also, looking forward to actually discuss a little bit more about this on HIP, the summit talk.
So microLeap is the first financing platform in Malaysia that offers both Islamic and conventional P2P financing. Am I right?
Yes, that's right. So we've been around since 2018, and we got our go live in 2019. And microLeap also, just to actually just give a bit of an intro, and I'll also touch this later on a presentation. But basically, microLeap is a peer-to-peer financing platform, or in Malay, it's rakan akan setara, pembiayaan rakan antara rakan setara. And basically, it's just between any one of us investing into these MSMEs for financing. So rather than they pay the traditional banks, they actually will be paying back our investors, and our investors will be earning a monthly return as a result. So it's just a matching platform between any one of us as investors, as well as corporate, retail, institutional, etc., to these MSMEs that need pivotal financing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but being the first and being the first financial
Mm.
platform, financing platform in Malaysia that
Mm.
offers both Islamic and conventional P2P financing, do
Yep.
you see a big growth for P2P locally, especially for the Islamic P2P?
Yep, excellent question. Main thing I would say it's there's definitely going to be a proper growth. I mean, in fact, not to go so far, microLeap is a great case example. The minute we went live with Islamic, that's when we actually saw our growth from
Oh,
last year and this year. We're at 98% Islamic, closing in on the 10 million target mark that we had for this year, and we only
okay.
dispersed last year at just over a million ringgit in disbursement. And thankfully, again, to highlight the whole Islamic growth, we are in every state.
Oh,
We have raised Islamic P2P financing, business financing in every state. No personal financing is allowed as under SC rules, so we can't fund your wedding, unfortunately. So things like that. But it's a huge potential, because in our case, I think we always wanted to make sure, cost wise especially, we wanted to keep it at least on a level playing field. So
yes.
we've absorbed all the necessary and associated Islamic costs, from the commodity brokerage fee, murabaha fee, right up to the Sharia fee, wakala fee, etc. So any and all associated costs we've absorbed. So number one question in any MSME is always, what's the cost? Whether the English, Melayu, India, China, line, all of them
Yeah,
have the one number one question. If I were to raise Islamic, is it
yeah,
going to be more expensive? And
yeah.
same thing with our investors. And thankfully, that's not the case. And I think that's where the growth will happen, continue to happen rather.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it sounds like there's definitely, I would say, supply and demand. I mean, a lot,
Yes,
the
exactly.
demand for P2P investing.
Mm.
But why would someone want to be a P2P investor? What is in it for them?
Yeah, I think at least again, with platforms such as ourselves, our batch, every single one of us in ours, in the second batch of P2P license, our recognized market operators, we all have something different to offer. And microleap, we've always prided ourselves in the whole financial inclusion, impact investment. Our P2P investors, they know that when it comes to helping the MSMEs on our platform, you're really helping them in a very positive impact investment way.
Okay,
Neither the investor nor the issuer has to pay the extra value added services that we provide at no extra cost to any of them. Especially for our MSMEs, just like Kiva, we kind of introduce and personalize our website as much as possible, so the investor gets to know exactly who they're investing in. You know, and then on
okay,
top of that, we provide basic debt management, accounting training, all this at no extra cost. As we mentioned earlier, we absorb all the Islamic fees. So that's also quite attractive to the investor and the issuer. The issuer meaning the MSME that needs financing. And I mean, the main thing is they know that I mean, even down to our microLeap Plus, which is the our another offering that does invoice financing and the bigger investment notes. These guys are using their own clients, their own people. They know they have confidence in the company. So these investors is kind of that whole community impact outreach. They come in to invest in companies that they are already a customer for. Even down to our micro enterprises, same thing. So even
okay.
the SMEs right down to the MSMEs is the same logic. That's how the impact investment bit comes in.
Okay.
Yep.
So I believe there's a short video on P2 on this P2P investing, which
Yep.
I would like to play.
Yep.
Yep. So there was the short video on P2P investing. So I mean, this morning you're talking about impact investment, and you mentioned it
Mm.
briefly just now.
Yep.
What exactly are impact investments, and how can MSMEs benefit from them?
Yep, we always go from day one, like the financial inclusion bit, because we were part of the United Nations Capital Development Fund, the pioneer batch, and just even down from our basic credit assessment, where we take care of the thin files, the machiks with no credit history or lack of credit history. We take psychometric testing involved in when we do our credit evaluation, right down. So then and then right down to also the investors having that personalized feeling again, like we mentioned earlier, and also the ones, I would say, the community, because we've got quite a number from our MSMEs, the machi goreng pisang, right up to the main SMEs. They have their own people, their own not so much friends and family, but their own, like, clients, long-term clients that are investing in them,
Mm,
and I'll explain a little bit in my presentation later also. But we
okay.
have a really good video on this, and on how we impact investments. Kini Halal did a special on us. I'd like to share that, and I think that will
Yeah.
basically cover all angles.
Okay, so we'll go head on to the video right.
Pembiayaan antara rakan setara P2P atau peer-to-peer di Malaysia semakin mendapat perhatian sejak akhir ini. microLeap, sebuah syarikat atau operator P2P yang telah diberikan lesen dan dikawal selia oleh Suruhanjaya Security Malaysia.
microLeap is an Islamic and conventional P2P microfinancing platform. So funds are raised through our platform from the crowd. So instead of getting financing from the bank, you're actually getting financing for maybe 100 people financing your business. So we allow Sharia compliant financing on our platform. So for example, your makcik in Kuala Pilah that wants 10,000 ringgit, they may raise those funds through our platform, and it will be funded by maybe 100 to 200 people.
microLeap bertindak sebagai orang tengah dalam urus niaga, pemberi pinjaman atau pelabur dan penerima pinjaman atau penerbit tanpa keterlibatan bank.
Dia menghubungkan dua golongan yang berbeza, golongan yang sangat memerlukan bantuan, dan also golongan yang mencari peluang untuk melabur dalam sesuatu. Tak kisahlah dia melabur kerana keuntungan ataupun dia melabur kerana untuk social investment ataupun social responsibility. And then platform macam ini sebenarnya membantukan untuk kita mencari. Macam saya mungkin takkan ada masa untuk tanya peniaga tepi jalan sama ada dia memerlukan bantuan atau tidak.
microLeap offers is quite different from other platforms in the sense that, as I'm sure you know, they're focused on impact, and they really target a different segment of the industry, which is the micro SMEs, which are in a way neglected by many other platforms. Most of the P2P lending platforms, of course, they're very noble too. They do provide financing, much needed financing for the early stage companies that have less than 3 years record.
Ini sedikit sebanyak membantu peniaga micro SME yang memerlukan bantuan kewangan, terutama krisis pandemik yang memberi kesan domino yang teruk kepada peniaga kecil.
Kalau kita pergi ke bank pun belum tentu mudah nak dapat pinjaman. Dengan masa sekarang ni macam-macam perlu, jadi daripada microLeap ni mudah. At least kalau macam tak strong tu, kita ada backup dokumen kan, yang lain-lain boleh diberi.
Bagi peminjam atau issuer, mereka perlu melalui skor kredit yang disediakan dan meletakkan informasi benar dan tepat di laman web. Manakala pelabur atau investor boleh memilih nota pelaburan yang disusun oleh microLeap, dan semua urus niaga pelaburan dijalankan atas talian secara beretika dan mematuhi syariat Islam.
I would highly recommend lending money through microLeap because it empowers you to become your own bank in a way. So much like our traditional banks lend money to others and get a return on it, we can now do that. And I'm so happy with how S3 has been on the forefront of introducing all these new innovative products, and because it really democratizes the financing for not only business owners, but as well as the general public. It's really empowering to be able to put your money to work and know that you're helping you're helping the economy in a way.
Dia punya attraction untuk microLeap ni adalah investment note yang dia ditawarkan adalah syariah compliant, meaning that saya tak perlu untuk check lagi sekali dia syarikat, saya kena check dia punya perniagaan dan apa, adakah dia syariah compliant atau tidak, because microLeap dah buatkan benda tu untuk saya. So benda tu memudahkanlah saya sebagai pelabur, saya tak payah buat kerja banyak. So saya percaya pada microLeap punya proses dan saya melabur sebab ada syariah compliant. Itu salah satu kriteria penting lah bagi Malay Muslim.
Menurut pengasas dan ketua pegawai eksekutif microLeap, Tengku Danny Muzaffar, hadirnya syarikat ini tepat pada masanya ekoran ramai peniaga kecil dan B40 yang tidak dapat menjana pendapatan ketika pelaksanaan perintah kuarantin.
As you know, COVID-19 is unprecedented. It's something that's never happened before and affects many businesses. We try to help our businesses that we know have pivoted to a different type of business, or they pivoted online when before they were offline. So these we know are the business that will do well during a pandemic like this.
Kaedah pembiayaan dan pelaburan alternatif ini bukan hanya membantu dari segi keuangan, tetapi dapat memberikan impak sosial walau ia nampak kecil, tapi mampu mengaktifkan perniagaan yang berkemungkinan gulung tikar ekoran ekonomi yang merudum.
I wanted to find a business that had an impact in people's lives. And so I looked at microfinancing, because in microfinancing, a small amount of money will have a great social and economic impact on these businesses that we are trying to help. So microfinancing is what I wanted to help to start with. And then I found that in Malaysia, Securities Commission actually regulates this new form of financing called P2P, or peer-to-peer. So I did my research and I found out that there weren't many companies that were strictly focused on P2P microfinancing. So I saw there was a gap in the market. And even a bigger gap, I found that there was no Islamic P2P in the market.
Sedikit sebanyak terdapat elemen amal kebajikan dalam pembiayaan P2P. Bukan hanya pelaburan dan keuntungan, tetapi membantu mereka yang memerlukan di saat diperlukan.
Saya berterima kasihlah pada semua investors yang invest saya punya kedai, and then terutama pada microLeap yang banyak sangat membantu mencari investor-investor untuk invest saya punya kedai. Sekarang at least dalam masa COVID ni kami dapatlah berniaga seperti, walaupun taklah seperti dulu, tapi at least dapatlah membantu menjana pendapatan kami.
So there you have it. There was a video on impact investments. So Matthew, if I can summarize, I would say impact investments are the kind of micro investments that will help give some social impacts. I mean, will help the communities like B40, especially during these unprecedented times, the pandemic, where people are losing jobs, losing the source of income.
Exactly. Also even down to the SMEs who are just basically having trouble getting bridge financing, so that's why we've actually entered into that space. And likewise for our micro guys, we've always had the micro insurance for free. We've had basic debt management accounting training for free in English and BM. And that's why, again, when you're investing with us, that's our unique offering to our issuers, and then because at the same time we make sure that they pass these modules that we're talking about. If they don't pass these modules, they don't get their financing. So that's a bit carrot and stick that works. Because and also, to be fair, that's happened where, I mean, real life cases is happening is that they went from Buku 555 to basically Excel, so at least something, right? I mean,
that's a huge upgrade.
Huge, yeah, exactly. So I mean, even if they're not doing it personally, they've got their daughter or the shopkeeper to do it, etc. And that's the kind of thing what we're trying to do. And then I think our
Yeah.
investors get that. They also get that, we have our Sharia Advisory Council, Sharia advisors, and we check back with them, and they check back with the Sharia Advisory Council of SC, etc. We won't simply put out a note if it's not Sharia compliant. And I think that's also got us foreign investors who are looking for Sharia compliant assets, to build their Islamic assets. So that's hopefully this is where we're going to go down the path to get more corporate institutional investors who are also looking to increase their Islamic asset yield, etc. So
Yeah.
that's why we're really looking to, and also that's why we've got these partnerships as well. The banks, we've got bank partnering with us, which is fantastic. I think that's always good to have two regulators and two regulated entities come together from SC and BNM. And I think that's and also we're looking to work with other SC entities as well. So that's also another plus. I mean, that's where we want to keep growing. That's how we want to keep growing, rather. So yeah.
Yeah. Certainly, it sounds great, and especially also the partnership with HIP as well.
Yes, that is key. Because one
Yeah.
thing, it's worth pointing out, worth selling this hard is that HIP is literally a one-stop shop. So
Yeah.
we have to. That is why we're so happy and glad to be part of HIP. It's something that we were looking forward, and now we are really taking this forward in a few ways. And HIP again, it is. That you don't really have to go anywhere else.
Yeah.
From they could come to us as an investor. I mean, for microleap and HIP, they could come to us as looking for Sharia compliant investments, but also to raise Sharia compliant in financing for their business. But again, don't forget, no personal financing is allowed. So only this one, business financing.
Business
So
financing. Yes.
wedding iPhone apa semua, as my CMO has pointed out in his previous session. No latest iPhones purchases, please. But again, it's something which is really important to us to be part of HIP, because HIP again, as you can see clearly, the membership is free.
Yeah.
We are looking to really see so many angles. I think there's once things really start moving, I think you'll see microleap and HIP come together on many fronts, not just one front.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a great platform. So for anyone that is looking to, like, just on one place to find out how am I going to do A to Z, how am I going to get my halal certification, etc. One stop shop HIP. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just a bit about HIP. I mean, HIP is still new. It's only like 3 months old, but
Yep.
yeah, I mean, it has a potential to grow. It's still maturing. So, just be a member now. There's a lot of services like microleap, all that. So members can have access to all this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, back to the topic, small steps
Mm.
for our MSMEs. You have presentation slides that you want to walk through with
Yes,
us.
please. Yeah. I'll just do a quick presentation deck. Yep. Thank you. So, just a quick general overview of what microleap is about. As we already mentioned from the start, first let me introduce myself. My name is Matthew. I'm the COO and partner of microleap, and also just to introduce a bit, we are the first Sharia compliant and conventional peer-to-peer regulated SC regulated platform in Malaysia. So next slide, please. So what is microleap? So microleap is basically, as mentioned earlier, we are a matching platform between the P2P investors or the lenders, if you want to call it that. At minimum, as we mentioned also in the video earlier, we democratize the whole situation. So it's only 50 ringgit to start. And we do have a function called Auto Invest, which I'll get to slightly a bit later. But basically, that's where the investors come in to fund the MSMEs on our platform, which is the issuers, and it's anywhere between 1,000 ringgit to 50,000 ringgit for microleap, and microleap plus up to 500,000 ringgit, and tenor anywhere between 1 month to 36 months. And of course, for microleap plus or invoice financing, that will be shortened to 6 months for invoice financing, and up to 24 months for microleap plus normal short-term working capital. Okay, next. And what was the whole purpose for microleap and P2P platforms in general, and even ECF, is that there's this huge 80 billion MSME funding gap in Malaysia. So the main issue is that the bank's credit criteria can sometimes be a little bit too stringent, which I'll explain a little bit later. But mainly the branch model. It is obviously the branch model is not that easy for your regular MSME off the street to just simply go and access and go back and forth, back and forth. Just the cost of even going to the branch and trouble to go to the branch, especially if you're in rural areas, it's too difficult. And the cost per revenue, as mentioned, the banks target larger profitable loans naturally, because if it's 1,000 to 20,000 ringgit, those kind of financings, especially for businesses, is just sometimes not worth the effort. And that's where we come in. So next slide, please. So we look to plug that gap because we're fully online. Our website's in English and Malay. We focus solely on technology, from our eKYC application. Everything is done online, even down to our commodity murabaha contracts, etc. Everything is done literally online. Our teams are there also as a backup, but basically everything is really online. We target the underserved as we increase financial inclusion by giving them the access for these MSMEs. But more importantly, again, we also provide a lot of value adds for free. And less budget constraints, we're able to scale up quickly. And we've already, from 2020, we've already financed every single state from Perlis, Johor, Sabah, Sarawak, etc. And also, again, Malaysia is ripe for digital financial services. In 2018, the internet penetration and smartphone penetration has been at 80% and above, almost 90% for smart internet penetration. And that was 2018. So obviously by now, 2021 is only gone higher. Next. So just a quick overview of the real people, real impact. The typical investor profile on your left is Ali, looking for Sharia compliant high returns. As mentioned, he can set his auto invest. I want low to medium risk. I want microLeap plus apa semua. I fix my Sharia compliant settings, and that's where he will get his maximum returns, and let the auto invest do all the work. As the name suggests, auto invest is similar, like it works like an AI. It does everything that you need to do. But the people like Ali will invest in, which is on the right hand side, will be your Makcik Kia, which is our pisang goreng seller. She was actually featured in the video earlier, and you can see that she needed to renovate her stall. It's over 30 years old. I used to cycle there when I was a kid. This shop is in JB at Taman Surya. And what do you call that? I invested myself, and I managed to get to see her when I was in JB last year for Christmas, to let her know that, you know what, I'm invested in you as well. And that's where we come back to that whole community impact investment, as we mentioned. And she needed capital to renovate the store, boost her online presence, and just because her SSM was below 3 years, because again she took over her family business. She got everything formalized, tapi unfortunately for her, even though she pivoted online, nothing was happening with the banks. She came to us, literally everything was done online, and we got everything done again. Because for us, we needed only a 6-month SSM minimum, but we took into account all her sales, all her PNLs. We actually helped her also in the PNL. Of course, again, basic debt management, accounting training, PA insurance, personal accident was given as well, which was a first for her, because she thought she had to pay for it. And next thing you know, she was funded in 2 weeks. She was really happy. She managed to completely redo her shop, and more importantly, she managed to boost her online presence and online sales as well. So that was huge.
So again,
Okay.
all these are done online, right?
Yeah,
All
everything was done online.
from the
And
investing and from the issuance, it's all online.
Everything. So that, and also in dual language also, it's good to point that out. So at least people know that, okay, if it's everything's if it's in English website fully, ayo susah lah, kan. So at least we also have the BM option, and even down to our nitty gritty, the documentation, everything, we have it both, and even our videos, our video tutorials. So that's also good, and our debt management, accounting, trading, etc. So yeah, next please. So yeah, just a quick overview again on our features. We are 1,050,000 for microLeap, up to 500,000 for microLeap Plus, which includes invoice financing, etc., which will come up to a little bit later. Minimum is only 50 ringgit, as mentioned, and our returns are paid monthly, and our average returns are anywhere between 10 to 15 for the microLeap and 12 to 18 for microLeap Plus, because it's paid monthly at 1 to 1.5%, which is again surprisingly the bank rates, which caught me off guard a bit for invoice financing. But funds are held in trust accounts. Nothing is held on microLeap. Everything is go through. Our trustee is basically our custodian and the trustee all investors and all issuers. All issuers have a guarantor. That is some mitigation, so they can be their own personal guarantor. That's a very key point to make. So you don't have to be an outside guarantor. But if they themselves are weak, if after the credit evaluation we find them weak, we might need a secondary guarantor before we proceed with the financing. Because again, we've got to jaga hati both sides, the issuers, which is the MSMEs, as well as the investors, because we've got to make sure we do our part to make it as proper as possible, credit evaluation wise. They're covered by PA insurance, as mentioned. Let's just say the food truck driver got into an accident, broke his arm, even though death is covered, but let's not be so morbid. Let's just say broke his arm or broke his leg, he can't drive the truck. Our partner insurance partner will pay back to our trustees. Our trustees will pay back to all the investors. So the principal is covered. Also, again, we have psychometric testing. Global SciTech is our partner. We were in UNCDF together. So basically, that helps a bit as well, because it complements our current credit evaluation, because it's not just the basic credit evaluations that we have. We also have psychometric testing to cover these thin files, because from CGC to Bank Rakyat, etc. There are already other partners as well that use them. So we have proper data that we can do our back testing on. All issuers, as mentioned, must pass their online video training before we pass them their financing, so that we know that they can handle their financing. At least basic bookkeeping, etc. And we are regulated by SC, Securities Commission Malaysia. Next. So just a bit overview of what we have. This is the main four that we currently are going to launch and have launched. Microfinancing, of course, has been our number one. We've been there. That's always been the case. Invoice financing is a bit more interesting. That's up to 500,000, 12 to 18%, 1 to 6 months. We have balloon payments or bullet meaning it's say it's a 4-month tenor or 3-month tenor or 6-month tenor. Month 6 you get the full principal and profit, but usually it's a balloon structure, which is every month you get your profit rate. Say if it's 1 or 1.5% per month, you get that every month, and then on the final month you get the principal plus full profit, because by then the invoice, the buyer would have paid us back into a secondary current account that we control, that will be paid from that secondary current account. Myself and Tukudani, or myself and Mazuki, my CMO, will be the ones citing the money in the account, because we are co-signatories as well as the co-internet banking, as we call it. And we will be the ones transferring that money back to the trustee. Trustee pays back to our investors. So there's that extra level of security for these invoice financing, as well as grant financing as well. It works the same. So basically, the secondary current account is another good mitigation, and on top of the guarantor and the invoice being the security. So, and grant financing, similarly, it's a grant provided by the government. We're doing the bridge financing in between. It's up to 300,000, 6-month tenor as well. And this as well, we will obviously, there's a lot more checks and balances to go through before we get this up and running. But this is something which we're going to be piloted out soon as well. Likewise with car dealer financing. Car dealer financing, we're also similarly, we're looking at up to 300,000. And we have a partner that already has these car dealers in hand. They've already vetted, or they've built a credit history with them, and now they're looking to raise or co-finance on microLeap. And the vehicle, the most important part is with Islamic car dealer or Sharia compliant car dealer financing, is the car itself also is a collateral. We're only funding, likewise with invoice and grant, we're only funding up to 70 to 80% at any one given time, and car dealer is 70%. And the advantage is the car is as collateral. So if in any worst case scenario, the car can always be used to cover the principal. Next. So yeah, our key differentiation is this. We are the first, as I mentioned, to do Sharia compliant and conventional. We're on one platform. We provide personal accident insurance, as mentioned earlier, as our value add to our issuers and investors. Debt management, accounting, trading for free. That's also mentioned. And group financing. We actually, myself and Tukudani, my founder CEO, was also. We were lucky enough to meet Professor Muhammad Yunus, the godfather of microfinancing. And that also, between that and our close relations with AIM, Amnaitia Malaysia, we managed to digitize the Grameen model of group lending onto our platform. So we call it group financing. This is an option that is available, and we're looking to have the right pilot issuers before we get this off the ground as well. Next. So just a bit overview. I'll just go straight to the best in class. As mentioned earlier, we only do business financing. No personal financing is allowed under SC. We're fully online. We are still stringent, but maybe less so. But of course, during the start of the pandemic to now, we obviously had to tighten a little bit because obviously, again, we have to jaga hati or take care of both the investors and the issuers on our platform. So we have to be fair to both. But in terms of once they're actually hosted, once they go through our career evaluation, blah, 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 once they're actually hosted on our platform, then yes, it takes up to 2 weeks. It used to be 30 days and now it's 2 weeks. So our speed is our main, I would say, the main advantage and the best in class over the banks, money lenders, and MFIs, typical microfinance institutions. But of course, that being said, our rates obviously are higher because obviously you need to get the investors attracted to your investment note, which is your business financing. So it has to be obviously the rates are obviously higher, but surprisingly, invoice financing is the same. Next. So this is just a bit overview of our traction. As mentioned earlier, we're about 98.5% Sharia compliant. We've got solid growth since we went live in October 2019, and yep, we're already hitting the 7 million mark. But soon, with all our partnerships in place, we will be going a lot further than this. And this is something which I'm really happy that I think it's fair to say all of us at microLeap, we're really glad that we managed to get and sustain some solid growth in this really tough last couple of years for all of us. And we're happy to be able to help all these companies. Okay, next. Yep. Again, just overview of the businesses funded, mainly retail. And as mentioned earlier in the video, we love to help people that pivoted. So, from brick and mortar, so brick to click, as they call it. So not just the physical shops, but the ones who pivoted online, just like our pisang goreng seller, a great example, the Bachikia. So yeah, the average financing amount at the moment is 61,000. Thankfully, because we call default early and we are really in discussions, not just with our issuers but with our investors. But more importantly, we try to do as much as we can in terms of the having conversation as early as possible. We've managed to keep our default rate at 0 for the time being. But the industry rate is anywhere between 1 to 3, and what do you call that? Certain platforms are higher, below 10, etc. But we will hope to keep our figures anywhere between 0 to 3 for moving forward. Next. Partnerships, yep, this is where we mentioned earlier. We've already got some really key partners from MAA, who's our willing to co-invest on 30% of all our notes, and it's a rolling fund of 10 million, as well as SME Corp. This is a huge DFI initiative, is huge to help us with not just the new SMEs and SME Corp members, but our SMEs as well, current MSMEs on our platform. So that was something which we're really thankful to have these kind of solid partnerships with the government agencies such as SME Corp and MTDC. MTDC themselves also ran through their COVID relief initiative with us, and that's also been huge because all these guys in the tech ecosystem were suffering, and MTDC stood up and helped them out immediately. So that was something which and again, amazing. It's a 0% financing for the tech ecosystem MSMEs. Bank Pembangunan also is coming into this space to help agri-tech farming, and they also have allocated a rolling 1 million fund to also help co-fund our investment notes. And it's these are the kind of programs on top, of course, which the main key program that we've had from day one, which is the Ministry of Finance, the MySIF program, or My Co-Investment Fund. They invest in a ratio of what do you call this thing? They invest in a ratio of 1:4. And hold on, the next slide. All right, so microLeap Islamic, just to give a bit of a quick overview, we have our share pronouncement based on commodity Murabaha. We've been doing this from 2020, beginning of 2020. Took us about a year to get there, but the thing is, it's a really tough thing to do from day one to get the Islamic capital markets and the Islamic P2P approval. But we got there eventually, and our brokerage fees, and as mentioned earlier, all the wakala fees, Sharia fees, etc., have been absorbed by us. Any and all associated costs. Anyone can invest. So basically, as our CEO and founder Tugudani always says, ethical investments and Sharia Islamic investments go hand in hand because it's based on ethical investments. Garama, late penalty fees are given to charity. That's one of our things. Okay, next. Yeah, just also a bit of recognition of what we got recently. We recently took part and represented Malaysia in the unicorn pitches online startup battles. That was something worth. That really helped us. I was really happy about that. Of course, as mentioned, we were part of United Nations Capital Development Fund, the Pioneer Batch Top 18. We were also part of Cradle's Coach and Grow program. We won the Industry Recognition Award, and we also won the nominees for the Startup of the Year, featured on BFM as well, Bernama, etc. Slowly but surely, I think we're getting some growth, and I'm happy about that. Next. Also, I think a key to point out is our founder CEO. He is part of the iConnect, founding member of the industry-led body to promote Malaysia as an Islamic fintech hub. He's definitely seen as a proper fintech thought leader. He's been on HDC conferences as well and SC conferences. So I think you would have probably seen his face for a lot of things. And he does this in his sleep, I guess. Next. All right, that's basically it. That's our team from Tugudani and myself, Mazuki as well as our CMO. CTO is Ame, and co-founder is Nosha Rizal, who's the ex-CEO of AIM and current CEO of AIM Solutions. Advisor is Tunku Tansri Imran, and that's basically our team. And I guess I'll end it and can stop sharing lah.
So that's very. I believe that was very quite heavy, a lot of information there. But I mean,
Yeah.
I know this is a bit off topic, but I was quite interested in
Yeah.
the thing you mentioned about the agri-tech thing,
Yeah.
microLeap, and how you're going to help with the agriculture technology.
Yeah.
How is that happening? What's your role there?
Yeah, so I mean, actually, in a way, it's not really off topic because it's kind of tied up to the whole impact investments, right?
Yeah.
Because basically, where BPMB, who obviously a development bank, they would want to do bridges, roads, billboards, etc. I mean, communication towers, telecom towers. That's things they can see, things they can feel, right? So how on earth are they going to help the MSMEs and farmers associations? So that's where we came in. So we helped together with MDEC and the Farmers Association. This is where the between the four of us, the associations, MDEC, ourselves, and BPMB, we after of course a long time coming, it's been it's been a while to get here. But basically, they are looking to help individual associations, state by state, to help adopt agri-tech smart farming methods. Because obviously it's been proven to be super efficient. Obviously, they can also afford it because it will be part subsidized via the CSR and Zakat, as well as part, and basically they only have to pay back at 0%, half of the smart tech farming, smart tech costs. So that's why this is a help to. So this will help drive the adoption, because otherwise, if you're gonna just get the farmers associations, individual associations to do it themselves, it will never happen, right?
Yeah.
So that is something which I really, really, really appreciate that BPMB decided to take this step up, and instead of reinventing the wheel, come to a Sharia compliant P2P operator like ourselves, where we already handle micro. We have the basic debt management, accounting training, etc. We have all this ready. We have our credit scoring methods ready. So and again, I think we're the only ones Islamic P2P that actually focuses on MSMEs all, rather than just one section or only the big section, only the big boys or $1 million financings only. Because if we're only going to do $1 million financings, then what's the point? We have to be able to look at all, right? And that's where, again, these kind of partnerships, SME Corp, MTDC, BPMB, with this agri-tech farming is going to be huge. Because
Yeah.
it's not something that will end at one thing only. We're looking at hopefully other and more viable kind of like a similar kind of initiatives, viable and similar initiatives as well, similar to
Yeah.
this agri-tech farming.
Yeah,
Yep.
definitely, because farmers, the agriculture groups are the ones that you would want to target for impact investments. Would you
Exactly.
say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm gonna open the floor to any Q&A if there's any. But while we wait for that, maybe just for the benefit of the viewers, um, if there are still people who, like the B40 communities, the makcik kias,
Mm.
who are still quite, I would say, reluctant or feeling a bit apprehensive about this whole microLeap impact investment thing, maybe what are the kind of things that they need to prepare beforehand when they want to apply?
Oh,
Uh,
sure. Okay. Well, for the investor, it's very straightforward. An investor basically is your front back IC. We'll do all our KYC checks and PEP checks and everything in between. But in terms of the issuer, which is the MSME, then yes, the basic stuff, which is your bank statements up to 6 months, 3 to 6 months, depending. Your financial statements, of course, are 2 years. So meaning your management accounts, signed management accounts, because under SC, minimum is your signed management accounts, which again, we actually have on our platform how-to videos on how to do it. And we provide English NBM Excel that they can download. Is literally just key in the figures and it'll auto-populate your P&L and balance sheet for the year. So that is something which we also have. That really helps because that's what we really need: 2 years of at least signed management accounts. Of course, for Senior Berhas, they would have their audited, so it'll be audited plus your signed management accounts for the year. And business premise photos, photo of the business owner, because again, we want to personalize it and we want people to know who you're investing in. And we always remind our issuers, please, kind of like sell yourself, because this is, people need to know who you are and what you do. We also do a fact sheet as well, so that people get to understand a bit more on the numbers, so to speak. Like what's their performances like, and also what's their future plans. Because if without because everyone that we are looking at now to help, some of them are already having a bit of a U-turn because the pandemic and everything in between. But within these last 3 to 6 months, you can see, or 3 months in particular, you can start to see that not just the sales are going up, but the net profit is coming back. Because that's what we really base it on, is your net operating profit. Because no point having millions on revenue and millions on expenses. That means I'm not so sure you can afford your financing. But at least it's true. And then of course, try not to be too smart with your Excel. You don't give me one revenue and then drag and copy and paste for everything else. Because if you're 50,555 for 12 months, no one earns 50,555 exactly to the dollar, to the cent,
yeah.
for 12 months.
Mm.
So that's the other thing. But of course, because that's why we need the bank statements, right? We need to counter check and make sure everything is
Yeah.
proper.
Yeah.
So, but so far, I think again we've managed to convert all these guys to Buku 5, from Buku 555 to Excel, so that helps. And I think these, yeah, we just want to make sure that all our investors and our issuers, there's nothing that we cannot answer. So if you
Yeah.
just drop us an email, drop us we have WhatsApp for marketing and operations. Just drop us. We're happy to converse in both English, BM. Just drop us a line and we can help you literally from A to Z. And now that we're reaching the endemic phase, if they needed to come, if those are based within Selangor, they want to come by our office and want us to help us there, of course, with SOPs and all, what's it called, observed, then yes, we're even willing to do that because we did that pre-pandemic. So
Yeah.
that's also another kind of thing that we can do
That
for our
was my
investors.
next question, actually,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
it's quite possible that a lot of these micro or small enterprises,
Mm.
they are not really tech savvy.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
so you have channels to help them
Yeah, exactly.
offline,
Yeah, for sure.
offline.
Like just like how my wife does her YouTube videos, right? Cooking or anything in between, makeup, ke apa, you just pause and play, pause and play, pause and play. Same thing with our how-to videos. We did it in that vein. that because we did it section by section by section, so that all you have to do is just pause and play to the how-to videos itself is pretty self-explanatory, but our team is there as well, so don't be afraid to ask questions. That's basically what that's my takeaway, like. And even as I mentioned, we've had the MSME literally come, I mean, machi and pachi sale kind of thing, come to the office. It's not just the whole phone call and all that only. Some of them, they said, no, look, can we come and find out more, and or can you help us? I'll bring all my documentation. We're like, okay, sure, yeah, no problem. I mean, we're okay, we're open to it. I mean, it's not like something that happens every day anyway, because usually via the phone and WhatsApp, dah cukup pun. Because again, like, there's already that constant communication. But like what we always like to remind them, please have that constant communication after you get your financing as well, because no point you only communicate us to get the money and then later lari or don't know what nonsense. But I mean, so far touch wood, tak jadi lah. But then the thing is, you have to make sure you're in constant communication with us all the time. That's, I think, the main takeaway lah when it comes to the businesses that need financing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, okay. So we're talking about investment. So investment works well. I mean, you need investors and you need
Yep.
people who want investment. So I mean, just talk about a bit on the investors side. I mean, let's say for myself, if I was to apply to be an investor, I've passed all the KYC and all that. So what do I need to? What do I need to do? I mean, do I just log into my account and then all my investment options are there?
Great question. For me, it's as simple as set your auto invest and forget, because
Oh,
the auto invest
set
function
and
is there
forget.
for a reason. Yeah, because literally where our returns are monthly, right? So what I notice, a lot of investors, myself included, and I think quite a lot that I know of, that who have the auto invest function, when they leave the auto invest and the auto invest keeps investing, and then some of the tenors are anywhere between 2 months to 6 months. If you set your low risk criteria or invoice financing criteria, for example, a micro plus criteria, for example, 12 months example, then basically in just a year or two, you've compounded to a fair amount. It's not just that 1 to 1.5% per month on that 6 month tenor. If you just leave it there and let it compound, and then you just take it out maybe every quarter, every year, but you also have the flexibility to take it out every month. I mean, it's up to you. Every investor is
Okay.
different, but auto invest is the best way to go. Just
Auto invest.
once you get your KYC, set everything up, set the auto invest, then you don't have to stress, because otherwise you'd be like, oh, how come I didn't know about this note, or blah blah blah, and then our marketing hotline and CMO always gets that, like, oh, how come I didn't know? Because sometimes by the time the email circular gets sent out, some of the notes have already been taken up, so that's because we've had some notes done within half an hour. So I mean, not to say that it's all the time, but it does happen. So then after that, you get the investors when they always manually invest. That's the issue, lah. Like, oh, why didn't I know about this? Blah blah blah. But I would like it. I would like the auto invest to be there so that you diversify, because you
Okay.
just put your say you put only 100 ringgit or 500 ringgit or 1,000 ringgit per investment note. So you're not putting all your money, or all the eggs in one basket. You're spreading it out and spreading the risk, and at least in an overall scale, and again on the compound scale, you really get to earn. And then you take it out as and when you need.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely something I'm gonna check out after this. I
yeah,
mean, I'm pretty sold.
yeah,
I'm pretty sold on this.
yeah. The auto
um,
invest is the easiest. Is the easiest.
okay, definitely, I'm gonna check it out. Okay, I mean, I think we have about 7 more minutes. I
Yep.
don't have any. I can't see any questions. I don't seem to be receiving any questions. But very quickly, tell us about microLeap and HIP. I mean, what kind of benefits members can expect?
Sure. Well, we have to work out a few more things. I think we've got, because it's not, HIP is not just one thing we want to work with them on, you see.
Okay.
So as I mentioned earlier, I think there's just watch this space. There will be more things coming up between us and HIP and HDC, and we'll be involved in a few more conferences, projects with them, etc. And there will be not just exclusive benefits, of course, that goes without saying. Maybe discounted fees, etc., and all kinds of promos. I mean, whatever's currently running, and then on top of, we'll obviously we're looking at long term. There's quite a lot of things that, again, because we're both an investment arm as well as a financing arm, right? We're an investment tool as well as a financing tool. So there are there are quite a number of angles. We're looking forward to working with HIP and HDC. Only thing I guess I can say for now is watch the space. There's definitely more to come. But of course, the general, member benefits tak payah cakap lah, memang confirm ada lah. It's just that we'll have a lot more to offer. Let us come back to you on that one, because there's a lot more that we are trying to work with HTC and HIP in particular. Because again, as you mentioned, HIP has just been launched. We are also really trying to see as many angles as possible of how we're going to work together. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's all the time we have today. So thank you, Matthew, for joining us on this Sunday. I know it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm also headed out after this. So I really appreciate having you around and sharing for the last hour or so to share about microLeap and impact investments. For the rest of you guys, please visit hip.hdcglobal.com and register as a member today to enjoy the benefits and services exclusive for HIP members. So again, thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to thank our guest speaker once again, Matthew Fernandez, partner and COO of microLeap, for joining us and sharing.
Hey, thanks, Quincy.
All right, so I hope to see you again. Talk to you soon. By the way, do you want me to play any videos? I think we have.
Okay. We could do.
We can just end the session by showing the video.
Yeah, we could do the investor how-to video, I guess.
Investor how-to video. I'll play it in the end.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, guys, I'll stay tuned for this video, and I'll see you again this afternoon. Okay, Matthew, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Thanks, HIP. Thanks, everyone.
Adakah anda pemilik perniagaan kecil mencari pembiayaan alternatif yang patuh syariah? Cuba pembiayaan P2P patuh. Mencari pelaburan alternatif yang memberikan pulangan yang lebih baik daripada simpanan tetap? Adakah anda mencari pelaburan yang patuh syariah? Cubalah pembiayaan P2P patuh syariah dengan microLeap. Jadi, apa langkahnya? Lawati laman web kami dan cipta akaun. Pilih menjadi pelabur. Isi maklumat pemohon termasuk nama penuh, IC dan tarikh lahir. Anda boleh memilih akaun Islamik sahaja dalam aplikasi pelabur anda. Imbas atau ambil gambar bahagian depan dan belakang IC anda. Pilih fail dan muat naik. Kemudian, muat naik salinan imbasan penyata bank anda. Atau pindahkan RM1 dalam talian dari akaun bank anda. Setuju? Dan klik kepada perjanjian dan polisi yang berikut. Klik hantar dan tunggu pengesahan dilakukan dijalankan. Permohonan diluluskan setelah ketekunan wajar telah dijalankan. Tambah nilai pada baki anda melalui FTX atau melalui deposit tunai, cek atau pindahan bank. Lawati senarai pembiayaan dan cari nota pelaburan. Pilih nota pelaburan patuh syariah di sini. Cari kadar pulangan dan tempoh yang menepati citarasa anda. Klik pada nota pelaburan patuh syariah untuk mengetahui lebih lanjut mengenai penerbit. Jika berminat, sila pilih jumlah pelaburan anda dan klik melabur sekarang. Atau pilih pelaburan auto dan pilih kriteria supaya anda tidak ketinggalan dalam mana-mana pelaburan. Lembaran terma yang memperincikan pelaburan anda ada di sini. Anda mempunyai 24 jam untuk menarik semula pelaburan anda jika anda berubah fikiran. Tarikh pembayaran akan dipamerkan di jadual pembayaran. Dikawal selia oleh Suruhanjaya Security Malaysia. Langkah kecil, impak besar. Selamat melabur!